This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is one of the most successful contrarian resource investors and speculators on the planet, a friend and mentor, Mr. Jeff Phillips. Jeff, great to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing great, Gerardo. How are you doing today?
I am well. I am well. Thank you for making time. As always, always great to chat. Listen, let's get right into it. It's the month of June, and as usually happens in the summertime, right? We get a little bit of a lull in the market, especially in the junior resource space. And so I wanted to have you on because you and I follow obviously the sector very closely, but several companies specifically are doing a lot of really good exploration work that I don't think the market is properly allocating credit to. And so I thought I'd have you on. I want to start with your take on the overall junior resource space here as we get into the summer.
Yeah, basically, Gerardo, we had a pretty good run there. It really started after Beaver Creek last year in September and ran through PDAC. The market got frothy, I guess you would say. Everything anybody did, stocks were going up, people were raising money. And then after PDAC, we've sort of had that, they call it the PDAC curse. I don't know if it's a curse. It's just the market gets a little, more lax and less excitable, and people worry about whether the bull market's over. And, what's healthy is that you want to see a lull like this, and it gives you an opportunity to be a contrarian, and people aren't jumping up and down about drill results and what companies are doing. Per se, some companies are getting recognition for that, but it creates opportunity if you're looking at the right results and you're patient and you don't believe this bull market's over, which I personally don't. I think it's just getting going, although there will be speed bumps. So you want to be looking for companies doing the right thing. They may not be getting it reflected right now, but typically in the fall or late summer, everybody comes back and starts speculating, and a lot of these results will that have already come out will start to get revalued better, and you'll have more results out of these companies.
Yeah, no, look, I couldn't agree more. I actually wrote an editorial here earlier today, and I was talking about how boring presents the opportunity, right? And I recall back in 2022, Perpetua Resources, which was formerly Midas Gold, was trading around like the $2.50 level. And you and I had both visited the project. Nick Hodge, my business partner, had visited the project along with us. And we couldn't believe that it was trading with a $2.50 handle. And, you fast forward several years later, and here in 2026, it touched the $50 handle. And not because the deposit got better, not because, they found more gold. It was, all about permitting and development at the time, but because people started paying attention and assigning proper value. Now, obviously, that's a more advanced company now. It has secured a loan to fully fund and finance the build out of their project. But that's the kind of opportunity that we're in the space for. So when you look out there, what are you seeing company specific wise, if you don't mind sharing a couple of those, that has the potential to get re-rated in a better market?
Yeah, well, Gerardo, first off, just so everyone's aware, I consult for these companies. I'm a large shareholder of the companies I mentioned, and especially the ones that have had recent drill results, and a couple of companies that have upcoming drill results. So I'm not giving financial advice, and in no way should anybody, use these as recommendations. They're just what I'm looking at and what I'm doing with my own personal portfolio. So there'll be three good examples of recent drill results that materially advanced the projects. In one of those cases, they were recognized for that, and two of those I don't believe they have been. So the three companies we'll talk about initially are Gladiator Metals, GreenLight Metals, and Daura Gold. Gladiator is someone we've talked about before. I talked about it late last year in multiple interviews, not just with you. They have the Cowley discovery, which doesn't have a resource on it, but that is up in the Whitehorse district in the Yukon. And but last year they drilled 5 holes in a new target called Cub East, and all 5 of those holes hit. However, they didn't have their class 2 or 3 permit that they were working on to drill a lot more holes. So you had to be patient from last fall, and the stock had done all right. It moved up to I'm going to say $1.10 Canadian on the drill results, about $100 million market cap. But, as an early investor in Arizona Kincora Copper that just got bought up by Hud Bay, I see some similarities to what they're developing there and where they're at. And there's, in Arizona Kincora didn't go straight up. But I kept saying that when Gladiator got their drill permit, they were going to go to this Cub East, not to mention they have 4 other targets that haven't been drilled. And they're going to continue to drill the flagship project and put a resource on that this thing could grow to be quite substantial to a major copper company. And lo and behold, they came out with drill results. I think it was if I remember correctly, it was about 24 meters of 3% copper and a gram a ton of gold at the 190 meter depth. Every hole hit in the new program at Cubbies, and they're continuing to drill there. And they're drilling. They're also drilling their Cali project also, which to me looks like when they put a resource on it, it has the possibility of having 20 to 30 million tons. However, Gladiator, after being boring and sitting around $1.10, delivered these drill results, and their stock's moved up to the low $2 level now. So it's a $200 million market cap company. So we got some recognition, but it took a while for people to realize, hey, this is a new discovery on top of what they already have. So, that's a company that's been recognized. I personally believe they're going to continue. They're fully funded. They have a massive drill program running. I think we'll see more drill results that are excellent, and I think that's going to get re-rated again. However, we'll have to wait for drill results. The other two companies, you want me to go into the other two companies?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, Gladiator obviously has done very, very well. Massive scale there, great grade, and they've executed beautifully.
Yeah, and just so you know, I own quite a few shares, and I haven't sold any shares because I actually believe that's going to be, possibly my next Arizona Sonora. There's some, and also there's a couple other analogies that have been bought out in the last couple of years at some very high market caps, and I think Gladiator's got the money to continue proving that district. So the next company would be a company that I think came out with drill results yesterday. It's not the first. It's GreenLight Metals. They're drilling the Ben Copper Gold VMS project in Wisconsin, which is just an interesting story in itself. The state's open for business, and with security of supply, I like U.S. jurisdictions. I like critical metals, copper being one. They also have several other minerals in that copper VMS that are critical to the U.S. and have been announced that way. But I think they announced yesterday, I think it was just over, 26, 27 meters of 1% copper and 0.9% gold. So, about over 2% copper equivalent, including, I believe it was about 15 meters of 1.66% copper and 1.39 grams a ton of gold. It was a pretty decent step out from the holes they drilled last year. They continue to expand that deposit, here in Wisconsin, a copper deposit with credits. They also had another hole that was, 21 meters of 2.5% thereabouts copper equivalent. So every phase 2 drill hole has intersected significant VMS mineralization. That's what I want to see as a shareholder. That stock came out with that yesterday. Again, in this market, there's people looking to sell. It's trading about where it was. They're going to have more drill results. So it's a much bigger drill program. I think that thing's growing. And I think, as a contrarian, I own a lot of shares. I'm not selling any. I've actually bought some recently. I think that stock has a good chance to get re-rated. Again, these are all high risk. And if you're not a junior resource investor, you should really seek third-party advice, financial advice, if it's right for you. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm talking to people that actually understand the junior resource market. Does that make sense, Gerardo?
No, absolutely. And I think the timing couldn't be better for copper opportunities in America, in the U.S., and safe jurisdictions, given, where copper is with recent highs, where copper seems to be headed, and the geopolitical turbulence, obviously, that doesn't seem to be getting any better. You mentioned you might have 2 or 3. You've talked about 2. Do you have another one there?
Yeah, and an example there is Gladiator's getting more advanced, with a $200 million market cap. But again, I analyze the companies to see, do I think they can can they double their market cap with what they're doing? So Gladiator's a bigger company with what's going to be a resource here by the end of the year at Cali. But then we talked about GreenLight, which again, that's not just a new discovery. That's actually, they've drilled holes in that before. It was an old Rio Tinto project before Wisconsin changed their mining laws. So, it's a little bit more advanced. We know there's a VMS there. We're just figuring out how big it is. And I like to see that every hole they drill shows me that it's getting bigger. So another company that would be an earlier stage company that had drill results would be Daura Gold. Daura just completed a drill program down in Argentina at the Estero Bio project. It was a phase 1 program. Bear in mind, this is a 28,000 hectare land package. That's a big land package right in the middle of a very well-known silver gold epithermal, multiple mines in that area of Argentina. So it's a big land package. They did their first pass ever drill program on that package on just a few of the targets, 1,800 meters. I mean, that's not that much drilling. The drill results came back, in two of those targets, they had like 16.35 meters of 1.72 grams a ton gold equivalent, including about, almost 4 meters of 6.3 grams a ton of gold equivalent. They had another hole that was 15 meters of 1.9 grams a ton gold equivalent, including 3.6 meters at 6 grams a ton gold equivalent. And, if you really want to note in the drill results, what I took note of is that there was a intercept in one of the holes that was 739 grams a ton of silver over 1.8 meters. So this is a first pass program. Again, the stock is actually sold down a little bit, mainly because, people are expecting some massive discovery. Well, they didn't, in my opinion. They've made a discovery. They proved this is a fertile epithermal system with only 1,800 meters. So I think Daura Gold, and that's not even their flagship project. It's their projects in Peru. But that's a very exciting project, joint ventured from Latin Metals, a prospect generator. There's definitely going to be more drilling there. And, that's a very early stage. But Daura Gold, if you're patient and you do your due diligence, I think is an excellent speculation. So all three of those companies have delivered great drill results, and I have several others I'm looking forward to seeing their drill results, and I'm very excited coming out soon.
Yeah, no, look, you've definitely seen markets, Jeff, where there isn't quality exploration work happening, where budgets are being allocated and being spent on all sorts of things that don't really add value. I see the opposite happening right now. You mentioned those three companies all doing excellent work, but I think throughout the sector, we've seen companies really get back to quality exploration work. And I'm really, really looking forward to the second half of this year, because I think we're in for a pretty significant re-rating. Any thoughts anything to add to that, or final thoughts before I let you go, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll give you one more, if people are watching drill results, again, wrapping that up, all three of those companies reported results that advanced their projects materially, in my opinion. Gladiator demonstrated discovery, growth, and scale. GreenLight demonstrated continuity and expansion. And Daura validated a large new epithermal system. So you have two copper plays in the beginning with Gladiator and GreenLight, and then Daura, which is a precious metal, brand new thing. So all three of those did that. Another company that I'm really excited about, I think we'll see drill results probably before Rick Rule's conference this year, which is coming up right around the corner. And if you haven't registered, they're full, but you can go and do the online. It's a great conference. But, Kincora Copper will be there. I know you're going to be at Rick's conference, Gerardo. And Kincora's got two drill programs running. And again, I'm patient. One's being run by Anglo. They're, spent almost $20 million, I think, in drilling over the last year and a half. They continue to drill looking for this massive copper gold porphyries that Australia is famous for in that district. So that's ongoing. But Kincora is also drilling their 100% owned Cobar gold project. And I suspect we'll see results before Rick's conference. I think they'll time that. And I think, with that technical team and the fact that they're fully cashed up, there's no financings coming in Kincora. You're either a shareholder or you're not. I'm pretty excited, with a $40 million market cap. So, that's another copper company. So there's three copper companies for you and one gold silver. But your listeners should do their due diligence in those companies. I think they all offer excellent speculation.
No, I couldn't agree more. Jeff, it's always a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you at Rick's conference. And again, just really excited about the second half of this year. Thank you so much for your time.
Can't wait to see you at Rick's conference, Gerardo. And I think it's going to be a great second half of this year.
Agreed. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.